gentlemen, grab your tea, grab your biscuits, and get comfy, because today I'm going to be taking you through 4 standalone novels that I would really love to make screen adaptations for. As I'm sure we're all aware, turning novels into film and TV adaptations is always really tricky because there are some things in novels that just simply do not translate on screen. There's time limitations, there's budget limitations, technology limitations as well. So there's lots to think about when turning a book into a film. Books also come with what I call pre-established audiences, so people who have read the books, love the books, so pretty much anyone on BookTube really. That is always going to be an audience that you will want to impress with your book adaptation film, because the last thing you want to be doing is alienating your pre-existing audience. So without further ado, let's crack into the novels that I think I can tackle. The Songbird is a 1972 novel written by British novelist Wilbur Smith and documents the journey of 3 friends who are also archaeologists at a historical archaeology dig site in South Africa. The book itself is kind of split into 2 parts. So the first half is the modern day, where we are with our 3 main characters and they discover the dig, they go to the dig and they face all these problems while they're there. That sort of story kind of ends on a massive cliffhanger. About halfway through, we then jump back in time to the dig site when it was still this kind of massive, lively city, and we discover the historical importance of it and how it actually fell into ruin. The why is actually quite simple. I love this story. It is an amazing story. It is a very different story as well. There aren't too many characters in it, and it's just interesting. So interesting. Every time I turned a page, it was almost like I had a new bit of information, and that's what really kept me hooked and gripped. Pacing is brilliant. The characters are so unique, and their interactions and their relationships develop throughout the entire book, and that is what I absolutely loved about this story. My dad also recommended this book to me, and it's one of his favorites as well, so that's another reason why I want to turn it into a film, because my dad kind of asked me to, so might as well at some point. That's the golden question, isn't it? How would I do it? Well, I'd probably do it the way that the book itself is structured, and that is split it into 2 films. So I'd have part 1, which would be part 1 of the book, and then part 2, which would be part 2 of the book. Splitting this book into 2 films, to me, makes the most sense, because that allows me more time to fit everything in. Well, I say everything. With book adaptations, you can never fit absolutely everything into the film. That is always going to be the case, but I can try. Highly recommend you go check it out. Wilbur Smith is also a fantastic author. If you're looking for like historical action, historical fiction, adventure, anything like that, because that's what The Songbird is. It's an adventure fiction novel. Number 2, Tale as Old as Time is essentially a Beauty and the Beast story, but it's almost a prequel, really. It's told from the perspective of Belle's parents, namely her father, and how he met her mother and what happened to her mother, like why she isn't around. One reason, it's fantasy. Fantasy genre is the genre of filmmaking that I want to specialize in. This one's story really hooked me kind of from the get-go. It was really nice to see what happened before the Beauty and the Beast story and how the events kind of led up to the tale that we all, well, the tale as old as time, really. With the release of Disney+, you could quite easily turn Tale as Old as Time into a Disney+ mini-series. By a mini-series, I mean episodes that are about 20 minutes long, suitable for children, maybe 15 episodes, each episode being 20 minutes long. I reckon you could probably get through. The difficulty with that, however, is making each episode clear, as in each episode's got to have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, climactic ending, or cliffhanger. So that would kind of be the difficulty with this, because it is kind of a seamless story that flows really nicely. But then you could also do the film version as well. There are 2 ways that I would really go with this. I personally prefer the idea of maybe doing a mini-series on Disney+ for this, and just having 20-minute episodes and roughly 10 or 15 episodes. This is my favorite Star Wars book of all time. Star Wars Lost Stars is kind of technically part of a series. It's part of the Journey to the Force Awakens saga, which is a saga that kind of spread across books, comics, mobile game, console games. It's a really, really big saga. In this Star Wars book, we follow two characters who were born and raised on the same planet, but they were born and raised in different social classes of that planet, but somehow managed to become friends, and they start this really awesome friendship from children because they both have a dream that they want to achieve, and that is to become an Imperial pilot. So they want to join the Imperial Legion and fly TIE fighters around, essentially. While the romance is a massive, massive heavy factor of Lost Stars, this was the first book that I ever finished cover to cover in one day because I could not physically put it down. If this was to be turned into a film, I think it would be a really, really good Star Wars film. Not just a Star Wars film, I'd say this would just be a really good standalone sci-fi film. My second reason is because this is a sci-fi. But didn't I just say that I only want to work in fantasy films? Yes, I really did, but does that really matter? No. Because I love Star Wars. Yes, even though this is not a fantasy and it is a sci-fi, this would still be a massive challenge for me as a filmmaker in not just only creating a sci-fi, stepping out of my comfort zone really. I always think if you're within your career or like your life in general, every now and then it's really good to step out your comfort zone because you might actually find something that you really enjoy doing, but if not, you've gained some more experiences. Okay, so the book itself, 551 pages and comprises of 29 chapters in total. There are some chapters that you could probably do away with completely in the screen adaptations because they're just not really necessary. Like I said before, you'll never get everything that's in here on here. Probably do Lost Stars as a film, a standalone film that can easily slot into the Star Wars universe as it is now. Probably how they did Rogue One and Solo: A Star Wars Story, this would probably be, you know, a Lost Stars, a Star Wars story. That's how I would do it. I don't really see it working as a TV show, even a mini series, a feature film for this one. Jog of the Bushveld is a 1907 novel, which is a true story written by South African author Sir James Percy Fitzpatrick. It is a beautiful story, it is a heartwarming story, it is a heartbreaking story. There were so many tears when I finished this book. And because it's a true story, you know the events of this book actually happened, which make it even sadder, and I just could not deal at all. The book is written in a first-person perspective from the author, but he's basically telling us his life story and how he met Jock and all the amazing hunts that him and Jock would go on. The main reason why I want to make this is the main character, Jock. Jock is a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and he was the runt of his litter, but he will forever go down in history as one of the most amazing hunting dogs South Africa has ever seen. While this isn't like your standard fantasy film, there is nothing fantastical about this book whatsoever. It is a true story. For me personally, it is just one of those stories that I feel needs to be told, not just in book format as well, on screen as well. I do think that good old Jock deserves his hour in the spotlight. Easy really, 2-hour-long feature-length film. That is the best format that I personally think would work for a story like this. Another format which you could use is you could make a TV show for good old Jockey Boy here. The book is kind of divided up into short stories about different parts of Percy and Jock's life together. So they are kind of standalone stories, but they do all flow into each other. So if you were gonna go for like the TV show format with this, you'd have to probably turn each chapter, which is its own story, into an episode. 2-hour-long feature film. That's how I'd do it. Before we clock off for the day, I do have a quick honorary mention. This bad boy, Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, yes, I get that this is technically part of a series, but you know what? The other books in the series aren't out yet, so this is technically a standalone book for the time being. But the reason I haven't mentioned it thoroughly is because I haven't actually finished it yet. I started reading it last night. I'm only on chapter 3 and I'm already loving it. The world building was absolutely insane and I could picture it perfectly, and I do think this would make one epic film. But that's all I can say on it for now because I haven't actually finished it yet. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a pleasure, as it always is. If there are any books or book series that you feel would make really good TV shows or standalone films, do let me know in the comments below because I'm always interested to hear in what you guys have to say, and who knows, maybe you'll give me some inspiration as well. And we never know, couple of years time, maybe some of these books will be getting screen adaptations, but Only time will tell. Stay safe everyone, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.